Welcome to the Light Up podcast. I am your host, Amy Wilkinson. I'm an intuitive guide and soul mentor, and through this podcast, you will receive conscious conversations, powerful downloads, and soul-stirring activations that will both support and inspire you to tap into your intuition, follow that higher calling, and live a life aligned with your soul. Because you are here to co-create a life rich in abundance, freedom, and deep joy, and to unleash who you truly came here to be. And we're here to help you discover how to access that. So let's dive on in and light up. Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Light Up podcast. I am your host, Amy Wilkinson. So great to be here bringing through another episode today. And before we dive into this episode, I would so love it and so appreciate it if whatever platform you'll happen to be listening to this on, maybe it's Spotify or maybe it's Apple Podcast, if you could hit the follow or the subscribe button. It just helps to widen this channel and feels like a really nice exchange of energy for this transmission. So I would really love and appreciate that. All right, so today, the clear guidance from today was to start to dive into the unseen realms a little bit more. This is the stuff that I love, that really lights me up and that has supported me endlessly on my journey, which I'm going to dive into today, this intuition, right? And this is a really great prelude to an episode that I'm going to be recording this week with one of my favorite people in the whole entire world, one of my dearest friends, and she's also a guide and a mentor to me. She's an incredible healer, a kinesiologist, a psychic medium. Her name is Sarah Mackenzie, and with what's coming through in this episode, it's going to start to lay the foundation for what we are going to have so much fun chatting about and diving into more in this next episode, which is going to be released later on in this week. So please stay tuned for that, because I know anyone that has experienced Sarah's magic, worked with her, been in the company of her, she's got so much to offer, and it's a real deep dive into, taking a peek beyond this thin veil that we have between our world and the world of spirit. So I can't wait to share that. So we're really expanding into this theme of the unseen realms, and I want to chat with intuition today. About intuition, we hear this thrown around quite a bit in the spiritual community. But what actually is it? How do we cultivate it? And why is this single-handedly the most important yet underutilized superpower when it comes to navigating business and life? And I'll talk more about that as we go along. But firstly, let's get really clear on this. This is not another skill that we need to learn. So when we approach our intuition like that, it feels like it's something separate from ourselves that we need to almost acquire or bring in. Accessing and harnessing our intuition is a pathway of remembering rather than learning something new. It's already alive within you. It always has been. And we all have access to this. It's just like developing a muscle that we've forgotten to use, which is why, I call expanding our intuition a practice. It's a practice. It's something that we can further develop over time. So loosely translated, our intuition is our inner teacher. If you break those words apart, intuition. It's who we are, though. It's the wisest, all-knowing aspect of our consciousness, aspect of our being that we can tap into anytime. It's always available to us, right? So what does this mean? It means that we look, we feel, we know, we sense inside of ourselves for direction or for guidance or for the answers, rather than seeking that externally, which we're so very conditioned to do in our society. So much is placed on the external. I've spoken about this before in previous episodes, I know, because we haven't been taught how to access this, how to develop it, how to expand upon what already is there within us, our inner teacher, our higher wisdom, or you might even like to call it our higher mind. And this is a great tragedy. It really is. I mean, I couldn't imagine not moving through my life with a complete trust in this space, in my guidance system. I know I would not be where I am today. I would not have co-created the things and the experiences and the achievements that I have had I not trusted in and followed and acted on the guidance that arises from that space. I really wouldn't have. And as I've said before, this is key. This is fundamental to us moving through life in a really clear, conscious, and aligned way, in alignment with our soul, in alignment with who we came here to be. So if we're to navigate our life in this way, if we are to really develop a healthy and trusting relationship with this guidance system, with our intuition, it requires a few things of us. And the first thing here is that it requires that we trust in our greater self to steer us. Call this your higher mind, your higher self, your soul, your guides, right? All of that is connected to this one system that exists beyond our mind, beyond our body, beyond our three-dimensional world. Okay, so it's trusting in the invisible, in our intuitive higher mind to steer us rather than our logical, rational mind that we are utilizing all the time. And we're over emphasizing and overutilizing that versus the knowing in our soul. And it requires that we also relax the insistence that the physical mind or the logical mind know every single detail, because it's not designed to. It is not, our mind is not designed to tell us what's coming up, what we can't see, what is around the next bend on our life journey, because it can't. It does not have that capacity. It does not have access to that kind of information. And this, I feel like, is a really important piece to digest in this. Because we overutilize our minds for things that it is not designed to do. We have a guidance system. We have our intuition for a reason, because it connects us to the things that we are simply not able to know and tap into and access with our physical senses. That of seeing, that of hearing, that of feeling. Okay, we cannot access that information. So really important to know that. Okay, so that aspect of who we are, our intuition, our guides, our angels, can see what we cannot see or what we cannot perceive with our limited senses. So we need to put less pressure and expectation on our mind to tell us what to do, and instead to hand that over to our soul or to our higher self, whatever you want to call it. Whatever relationship you feel comfortable in cultivating. You might even like to call that love. You might like to call that universe. You might have a relationship with your guides or with your angels. Okay, it's coming through a very similar channel where we are accessing that. And when we learn to trust in this guidance system that is connected to the unseen realms, and we start to develop faith in this, it keeps us on track, in alignment. And what does our life look like when it's in alignment, when we feel in alignment with our life? There's flow. There is this greater sense of ease, because there's this feeling within us, a deep feeling that no matter what we're presented with in our life, we are supported, and that everything will unfold exactly as it needs to, in alignment with our highest timeline. And that all that we need is provided to us in the most divine way, if we allow it. Okay, and this is key as well. Let those words land. If we allow it, if we don't resist it. And for many of us, it is this resistance, it is this mistrust and lack of faith that keeps us from developing a really coherent, healthy relationship with our guidance system. Okay, and we can overcome that. We really can. So there is this unshakable trust that builds when we're following our intuition, when we begin to not only hear or see or feel the messages that are coming through our intuition, but we then start to take inspired action from that place of internal guidance, rather than from the logic or the expectation of others, be it society or our parents, our teachers, clients, peers, and so forth. Okay? Yet we're so conditioned to value our logical mind rather than the knowing or the feeling that we have within. And Albert Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. And we have created a society that honors the servant and forgotten the gift. And no truer words could be spoken when it comes to intuition. We have not prioritized honoring and utilizing this gift in all areas, in all aspects of our life. Okay, and this is why this is so important. Okay, so a couple of important premises that we need to understand if we're really wanting to develop a relationship with our intuition. And they are this knowing, this understanding that we are not our mind, we are not our thoughts, and we are not our body. We think we are, and we over-identify with those three things, our mind, our thoughts, and our physical body. We are a soul. We are the vast consciousness having a temporary human experience. Scientifically, we are energy first and foremost. We are vibrational beings. We are vast consciousness, trillions and trillions of atoms vibrating at a particular frequency. That is who we are. Let's remember that. And we have access, because we are vibrational beings, we have access to so much more that is beyond what we can see, touch, feel with our physical senses. Okay? Yet many of us either forget this, or we don't believe it, or we don't prioritize it. And why is that? It's because we give too much insistence on the four major blocks to our intuition and to our manifestations, even, if we're going to go that step further, because it's all connected. Manifestation and intuition go hand in hand. So what are these four major blocks? You'll probably be familiar with them. They're fear, worry, distrust, and lack of faith. Okay? The thing is, our intuition is communicating with us all the time, and yet we have choice around whether we pay attention to it. And unfortunately, because we're so anchored in a control paradigm and giving so much credence to our rational mind, as Albert Einstein said, our mind requires this evidence, this proof, and it searches endlessly for that. And without it, it rules out our intuition, or it rules out the guidance that comes through as mere coincidence or wishful thinking. Right? It teaches us that unless we can see it, touch it, feel it, it doesn't exist, taste it, then it's not real. That's what our mind tricks us into believing, and that's what keeps us stuck. Our mind is programmed to have a negative bias because it's designed to keep us safe. Okay, whereas the greater consciousness, the universe, life, is actually net positive. Let that sink in. Life is here to support us. It wants us to succeed, to thrive. It needs us to. I mean, look at how life is created around us. Nature thrives. It's meant to thrive. It's supposed to. And it's supported endlessly in order to do that. We see that when there's destruction, right? When, say, a fire comes through or a bushfire comes through, we see that there is new growth that happens. It doesn't just decimate and that's it and it's done. There is new growth that we see that then happens, and it can thrive and it can flourish more because we need it to. Life needs it to. So we need to understand that just like we need the trees to thrive, we need all the animals on the planet to thrive. Every single species plays a role. Life needs us to thrive, and it will support us to do that every moment. But when we don't trust in that, we block the miracles. We close the channel that we are here to expand and to amplify. And this is what I see so much is we bring the fear and we bring the worry in, and we hold on to this lack of trust and this lack of faith. And then we make decisions because of that are going to keep us in a more, rational, logical place, rather than looking at how can I expand beyond this? What is actually possible? We really start to feel into our unlimited potential when we trust in our intuition. So a little bit about how I've used my intuition, more specifically in business. I mean, I use it in my everyday life. As I said before, I can't imagine being where I am without having this really strong and healthy relationship with that. But it has, and it continues to support me greatly in my mission and purpose and in my work. So I'll speak to that for a moment. I mean, I ran a soulful business with my husband for over 15 years. I've always worked for myself, always done my own thing. I think I've been employed once, maybe twice. I used to work at Cook Eye and back in the early 20s. But since then, I've done my own thing. But this business that my husband and I ran for over 15 years, it started from nothing. It started from a thought. Everything starts from a thought, from an idea. And it quite quickly and quite serendipitously, I'd say, grew to a multiple location and very successful yoga and wellness brand. And I've been asked a lot over the years, and this is why I'm speaking to this, because it feels important. And hopefully it will be of some benefit for you in what you're navigating. But I've been asked what's been my secret sauce, as if we have a secret sauce. I'll try to answer this though. What's been that secret sauce when other similar businesses in the industry might have been struggling, and why ours continue to grow and thrive? And my short answer is this. All of the decisions that I make in life, and in business for sure, are intuitively led, all of them. And I prioritize that guidance over everything else. I prioritize it over logic, over looking outside to see what everyone else is doing, over a so-called strategy that I need to implement because it's the thing and it's what you do, over what's trending, right? And in doing so, I stay in a lane that feels authentic to me because it's guided from within. So of course it is. And I, each and every day, prioritize, like I would prioritize the important relationships in my life with my husband, with my children, with my family, with close friends. I prioritize that relationship with the me of me, or the you of you could say, with my internal guidance system, with that wisdom, with that voice of knowing, with my angels and my guides. Because our soul, our guides, our angels that I am communing with in my everyday life, every single day, I know that they know so far beyond whatever I could access with my physical mind. So I've learned to trust in that guidance that comes through these benevolent energies via my intuition, via the psychic languages that I've known to further develop. Right? I've prioritized this over what I think I need to or should do, because what I need to and should do is always over there. It's always outside of me. I'm looking out. Period. That's what it's been. And this ensures that I stay in alignment with my highest timeline. I'm not living somebody else's life. I'm not doing someone else's business. It's what feels right for me. And the feeling piece is so important. And I see this so often. We make decisions for other people. We make decisions based on a people pleasing, which is so conditioned in our society. So the quicker we can let go of that and go, what is alive in you? What's arising in you? And what's the decision you need to make for you and for your business? Because if you are doing that and if you are prioritizing that, then that benefits actually everybody else. Now, this isn't to say that we don't wander off the path. Some of the greatest lessons that I have learned have been from the mistakes that I've made in business or the mistakes that I've made in relationships. We are here to grow and to learn in this school of life. So I'm super grateful for that, because it's got me to where I am today. And I love where I am today. And so there's an overarching knowing that even with that, even with the, wandering off the path, sometimes we take the scenic route, but we still get there. And sometimes the scenic route is a lot longer than what we want, takes a lot longer. Sometimes it's shit scenery, but we get to where we need to be. We always do. Particularly when we have that knowing and that trust within ourselves, then there's no wrong paths. When we're in alignment, there are no wrong paths. There's just sometimes little detours. And so this feels so important. It's precisely why I support others. I support my clients, my students in their life and in business to harness their own intuitive capacity and to expand on that. Because this is foundational, and I could not imagine operating a business without having that strong guidance system in place. Okay, so then we can learn to develop the language, the senses that we are most naturally developed in. And you might have heard of these before. These are known as our clairs. And I feel like this is something we can dive into in another episode, because these are innate languages, and these are the ways that our guides, our angels, our intuition communicates with us. And the thing is, our angels and our higher wisdom knows how to communicate to us in our own unique form of communication, so that we can feel, hear, see, know their messages, depending on which mode, which language, let's say, we are naturally more developed in, because there's usually one or two at least. And it is really handy to know what yours is, so that you can understand the best way, or the clearest, easiest way for you to recognize the guidance that comes through. And these are our clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognience. You might have heard these terms before, and I will dive into them in another episode to come. Stay tuned. But it is really important to know what you are naturally more developed in, but we can expand and get really developed in all of those clairs. And there are more, but they are the primary ones. So on wrapping up here, I want to leave you with a little tip to begin to develop our intuition. And this is around our faith specifically. Okay? The more that we can anchor into trust and faith in our life, the more that we can see magic unfold before us. And if you know you are someone who tends to default into fear and worry when you're at a crossroads or when you're needing to make decisions, then developing that trust muscle and that faith muscle, even if it's little by little, is going to be really important. And this is a practice just like any other practice in our life. Faith is a practice that we can choose to prioritize. And it's a knowing within us. When we really go deep into it, it's a knowing. And when we go down this path, you'll find that life will provide you with opportunities to grow and to flex your faith muscles. So the more you can do this in micro doses in your life, the greater will be your capacity to hear and to see and to feel the guidance that's coming through. Is this comfortable? Going down this path where we are maybe taking a few more leaps than what our mind would like, than what even our nervous system might be comfortable with. So, and this is why it's really important that we just do little micro bits, little steps along the way, so that we can start to get a bit more regulated in that. But is it comfortable? No. Will it challenge you? Yes. But if you can start to lean into faith, you will always be looked after and it will get easier. Because lack of faith is one of the biggest obstacles in being able to communicate with our guidance system. And if we don't trust life, if we don't trust that we are supported, then we don't trust in ourselves. And we don't trust in, let's say, our angels and our guidance system. And we don't trust that we are 100% supported always, because we are. Life is net positive. So I hope that this episode helps. I will dive into this a little bit more. Reach out if you found this of value. I'd love to know. It helps me to know whether to bring in more of this. As I said, we are going to have fun diving into this a little bit more in the episode that comes up later in the week with Sarah Mackenzie, so stay tuned for that. If you like this episode, please share it. And if you do, share it on Instagram and tag Amy_the_light_place. I will always reshare. It's a way that we can stay connected as community. All right, have yourself a beautiful day. Thank you for lending me your ears. Once again, it's a joy to bring through this information. And happy tuning in to your intuition. Much love and blessings.